What is going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video. Today we are gonna take a look at JND Studios John Wick. I guess there's two John Wicks in here, 1 and 4, so you can pick whatever John Wick you have. So apparently there is two options, but before we do that, to pre-order this, I don't know, I'm not gonna recommend anyone to you. Do your research, because JND, you can only get them from, resellers, basically. I believe they don't have the license or the worldwide license for John Wick. I believe Hot Toys does have that. So you have to grab them from, your quote unquote trusted resellers. This is a high ticket item though, so for anyone who's just used to Hot Toys, this is a bit more expensive than usual. The wait time compared to the Joker doesn't seem to be so bad. However, the Joker did had some setbacks. They had to reevaluate, redo the head sculpt and all that stuff, which I feel like we are gonna experience again with this John Wick. The reaction so far is not positive. If you go to their Facebook page, you'll see, like the laughing emojis and all that stuff. The funny one I saw was it's one Wick, so it's not John Wick. That was pretty funny. But overall, okay, so let's talk about this John Wick 1, the slick back hair first. It looks okay. This is gonna retail again, this is a JND's website. This is not for your third party. So it might be more expensive if it's like a third party, reseller. I like the John Wick 1 better. I think the slick back hair suits more. The head sculpt obviously, in my opinion, needs some work. Even if you are a hardcore JND fan or a John Wick fan, you will acknowledge that this is not perhaps their best work. Now, I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they did tweak Joker. And Joker had a lot of pushback when it first came out, and now it came out pretty good, right? It came out pretty darn good. So I'm okay with that. We could wait, and maybe if you are a huge John Wick fan, just wait. And once you get it, maybe it'll be, better. Or they will announce something better. I do hope so, because for the price that they are asking for these figures. Hot Toys is going to have their artisan version. Effectively, this is going to be what, $200, if not more. I would say $200 more than the Hot Toys version. Magnetic eyes, seamless neck. Is that worth $200 to you? Only, the individual who's going to buy this can answer that question. It's like, how much do you like John Wick to spend, like, let's say $750 for one figure? And that number is just made up because they put it $699. I'm assuming, it'll be more expensive because of the shipping. But other than the face, which is the most important part, by the way, but if we just, disregard the face, the dog, you're gonna have that, I believe, in the package version. It doesn't look like it comes with just John Wick 1. I think John Wick 1 is stronger than this John Wick. I think the face is almost the same, but I'm not a big fan of how they styled the hair here. I don't know, it's too puffy. I think it needs to be thinner, because right now it looks like his Triple H. Like he's about to spit water right here. He's the Game. At least the Game when he came out with like a shorter hair. I don't know, there's something about the hair. I think it needs to be a little bit more strandy, a little thinner. The shape of the head and the forehead, I think it's kind of throwing off the likeness as well. I think out of the two figures, I like the first one better. And that's not saying much, because I'm still not fully satisfied for $700 here. If you're paying $700 for a 1/6 scale figure, you're gonna hope that, especially when you got Hot Toys out there who put out their, quote unquote preview, and for even, especially if it's a slick back hair, I mean, I get the realism part of it, but you're not really getting the most out of your money if it's a slick back, because it could be sculpted, right? Like the difference you're gonna have is towards the end of the hair on the back of the neck, because at least that's gonna flare out a little bit if that is the case. But other than that, I don't know if I can, I don't know, like fully justify 750 to 700 for this figure. It all comes down to the head sculpt. Now, outside of the head sculpt, the tailoring looks pretty good. We saw some poses earlier that is magnificent. Now, there's a lot of things that could go wrong in those poses, not just the body. The Hot Toys John Wick is pretty poseable. However, you always have this fear with the suit, like you are gonna mess it up, you're gonna tear it. It's tugging and pulling and all that stuff. It's less intrusive in the new John Wick 4, but you still have that fear. They were putting this John Wick in some pretty good poses. Like even the pants, he was kneeling down. You could do that with John Wick 4 as well with Hot Toys, but again, you're gonna have, I believe you're taking some risk here. You kind of cringe a little bit because you can feel it. Whenever you pull the legs apart, you're watching the stitching of the pants. This one right here, even this pose is pretty darn good, and I think it's a combination of the body and how the suit just contours to his movement. Maybe they have a better fabric, a little bit more stretchable. I don't know what they used, but it does look pretty good, out of those poses. It looks pretty dynamic. So that's a big plus if you are, if you wanted to buy this figure. That is a huge plus in my opinion. The fact that he can stand with, we all know this base is magnet. He can stand like that, one of just tiptoe and he can balance that way. Also, is a huge plus. This look right here isn't too bad. Well, he's kind of like staring out. This is not bad as well. I'm just not a big fan of the hair. Maybe it needs a little bit more wet look. I don't know. Again, it's a little poofy in my opinion. A little thick. Like he came out of the shower or something like that. And it's not completely wet, but it's like in between. It's damp. The accessories, I didn't read if this is like die cast or anything. Maybe it is. Even if it's not, I was look at this post right here. I was pretty happy with the Hot Toys version anyway, regardless if it's die cast or plastic. It looks good. That's more than enough for me. The seamless arm or seamless wrist, so to speak, is a nice plus. Like, yes, he is wearing a long sleeve shirt that kind of covers his wrist, even with a watch, but it's nice to have that option. When he's in a dynamic pose and then the sleeves pull up and you don't see any joints, that adds to the realism of the figure. Now the beard, it looks like it's not, well, I'm expecting that as well. It's not rooted, so to speak. It's sculpted, but all the accessories looks good. All the belts that he does have, the pouches on the back, looks like it is leather. I'm sure it's not, but the execution is really great. Like the suit, I even saw on the suit, like there's a close-up. I don't know if it's just sculpted or whatever, but he has some cufflinks in there, so that's good attention to detail. Again, they use real buttons on the suit. With Hot Toys, the Artisan Joker still has some buttons, so that's not cool. But again, this is $800 as well. I mean $700. So, but I'm really impressed. Look at this kneeling pose right here. Again, you can do this as well, John, because I did try it. Especially with Kane, you could do that with Kane. His pants is like, I don't know, some like rubber material-ish. But this, just from the eye test, looks good. The suit, the head sculpt needs a lot of work in my opinion. Like you're paying for the head sculpt here, and I don't think they captured it. But we'll see if they update this. Let me know in the comments, how do you think this turned out? Are you gonna buy one? Which version? Love to hear the thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.